Booster Gold,
Mhm.
please get into your creation of Booster Gold and what makes him such a great character that works on so many different levels. And I mean, there's just so many great interpretations of the character across media. He seems to be like one of those characters that was just born to be in DC.
Well, I mean, he was born to be in DC. And so, all right. So if we go back to DC, like 1983, 84, that period, one of the things DC had was, and it was a great place to work at that time, and had very much kind of an open door to creators policy. And I was certainly working there. But one of the things they basically had going in a very strong way is if you have an idea, bring it to us, talk to us about it. And so if you think of that world of DC at that time, the various characters, say in the Justice League or whatever, were much more alike. They were more similar to one another than years later when their differences were built out more. And one of the things I felt DC really lacked was a hero who had faults. And that
Doofus.
is certainly who Booster Gold is. And I went to breakfast with Dick Giordano one day, and he was managing editor, and I just described this idea of what Booster Gold would be, that someone who would be in it for the glamour of being a superhero, someone who wanted to do the right thing, but would do so somewhat awkwardly, and that he wanted to make money off it at the same time. And I literally said, Bruce Wayne can finance being Batman, but most heroes could never finance, what they do, because you have to have a day job, right? And he can't type 1,000 words a minute like Clark Kent could. So, he would have to make his living essentially being that superhero, and what better way to do it than that? And I also said, though, he's got somewhat of a shady past, but he's trying to do the right thing. It's just always hard for him. It's like if I sit down to fix a faucet, I'll probably end up with a lot of water on the floor, unlike a real plumber. And I'll get there, I'll get it done, but it's going to take me 4 hours instead of the 45 minutes it would take a plumber, and everything's going to get wet, um, including me. And as I described it, I kept saying, and you guys don't have anything like this in the list of superheroes. So DC, I mean, Dick at that point said, I want to do this. Let's do this. Consider this a go. And we were off and running at that point. But I think Booster is very much someone with a lot of human failings. And what we do see is that Superman has all these powers. Wonder Woman does. Batman is so hyper perfect now that, he can build transwarp, drive this, that, whatever. I mean, it's like Batman is so hyper capable, a little too much, in my opinion. Um, Booster is not that. Booster is the guy who's somewhat lovable, tries to do the right thing, has this disarming smile, and eventually he'll get you there. But he's much more like us and how we would do things as heroes than anybody else they had at the time. That's where that came from.
Did you enjoy writing Booster as in being like, me, you, and everyone on the show and everyone else that's reading it? Like, did that give it like a different meaning to you?
Yeah, well, what I've always told people is that's who I was then. So if I did when I first started to create Booster Gold, I was like 22 years old. And so I always looked at it and said, this is what I would do if I had powers. Yes, I would go on TV. Yes, I would take money from somebody who wanted me to be their spokesperson. Yes, I'd go out and date this beautiful model, whatever. That's what I would have done when I was 22 if I had powers. Yes, I would try and do the right thing. But that is very much who I was then. And I was really writing about what I would do and the way I would be if I were in those circumstances.